Welcome back for another episode of I'm Not Salesy. I'm your host, Cassie McKenzie, and I have a really special guest today. I'm so excited. This is a topic that I know I don't normally dive into, and I think this is going to be such great new, um, fresh take on things, and also going super next level for your business, especially if you're scaling into that multiple six figures and into your first million in sales. This is going to be a conversation you don't want to miss. I can tell already just from us catching up. Okay, so before recording, so I have a guest, Ashley Chanel, and she actually has her own marketing agency. She's an ad whiz. She works with phenomenal women who want to scale to your first or next few million with less work. And her agency believes that they've been working for way too long you've been working for way too long with incremental progress and you want exponential growth, and she is the one for you. So welcome. Let's just go ahead and dive right in. So we were talking a lot, I asked Ashley, what is, where should we go with this conversation today? And gosh, you missed about 6 minutes of gold. I'm sorry I didn't hit record sooner. But I have no doubt that the rest of this is going to be just as great. But we were talking about really high visibility lead magnets because I really believe that when you're going starting your first six figures or making your first six figures, what people say, or the quote you might hear all the time is, what got you there won't get you here, right? Or
Yes.
what got you here won't get you there. You know what I mean? So, and I think this really is true because making that first six figures, you're scrappy, you're pulling it together, figuring out what works. But then scaling your business further is about refinement, right?
Absolutely.
So I'd love to hear more about your take on all of this. So I'm going to give you the floor and let you talk.
Okay. So I totally agree with the refinement because when you're making your first six or your first 200,000, a lot of times you're not focused on one offer. You're trying a lot of different things. You're doing things that you see on the internet and other people doing, your business besties are doing, and they work. Some of them don't work, but they also take a lot of work. Okay.
Mhm.
And at that point, you do see money coming in. So it gives you the motivation to kind of keep going. But sometimes the money isn't coming in that month and you start freaking out. But when you are looking to scale, it is about refinement. And I know people talk about, I mentioned systems, which is, I feel like is oversaid because a system can encompass a lot of different
Yeah.
things, a lot of different areas of your business. But then there's also processes that people don't talk about. But one of the things that's so important that people aren't typically doing when they're scaling is they aren't generating leads
Hmm.
enough. And so what I mean by that is I believe that lead generation should happen year round. There
Yeah.
should be no days off when it comes to lead generation, and you should have a high visibility lead magnet, which is what I call them. And those are lead magnets where people can actually either hear you and or see you and understand that you know what you're talking about. But not only that, get to know your personality, get to know how you talk about things, how you coach, how you work through problems, how they might be able to work with you, and what it would feel like and be like. And you can do that in many ways, right? You can do that with a VSL, right? A video
Yeah.
sales. You can do that with a challenge. You can do that with a webinar. You can do that with a discovery call. You can also even do that with content. Content can be your lead magnet, but you absolutely have to know that this content is not to gain followers. This content is to speak to your person who's going to move forward and take
Yeah.
action. So it's really important to know what lead magnet is going to work best, not only for you, not only for your offer, but to get the person that you want to take
Hmm.
action, to take the next action that you want them to take.
Yeah. Key word, the one that you want, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm super big on teaching how to write content and teaching how to do sales messaging. With my sales background, in pharma sales. Like that was the thing. It was like the right message to the right person with the right frequency. And I think that third part is really what you're hitting on with the right frequency. It's about like being in front of people nonstop, right? Like you being unforgettable and whatever way you do that, like and there's so many ways we could go into this conversation. I see it's like, so many ways. But like for example, for me, I just decided, yeah, all those monthly programs they so time consuming to put together when you're like a over delivering perfectionist like I am. And like and do people really show up for them? Like you want to make sure when you're scaling into these multiple six and a five, half a million into your millions, that you're working with people that you like, that are going to get great results, that are, you know, light you up, right?
Right.
Because at that point you realize, well, it's not the money that's making me happy. It's every day. Am I in my, passion? Am I, working with people I actually want to work with? Because if not, I may as well just go get a corporate job.
Right.
Anyway, you know what I mean? And
Exactly.
um, so yeah, I feel like having most of my sales job was lead generation, right? It was even if it was an existing client, it was, really being specific in that messaging and being in front of people
Right.
nonstop, or having systems in place to be in front of people nonstop, right? So,
Exactly.
like, how can you explain for people, especially like, I feel like when people hear the word system or processes, they're especially when you've been like all wild, wild west joining, like building your first six figures. Can you explain for the audience, is especially if they're not as familiar, like what the difference is between a system and the processes, and like what might be included in each?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not a systems person, an operations person, but my understanding is that a system is kind of like the way things work, the way things happen. It's like it starts here and it ends here. So the system would be like if we're incorporating ads, right? The system is you put out your piece of content, whatever that is, you ask them to do something, which is, join your lead magnet. And then after that, potentially they go into your application. After the application, they get on the call with you, and then you sell them and hopefully close them. That's the system of lead generating for you,
Hmm.
right? And then the process is what are the things within the system. So when it comes to, okay, what's the process of getting your content out? What's the process of making sure that they book properly? What's the process of vetting the person after they did the application? What are
Hmm.
the questions that you're asking yourself and looking at over the application, saying, is this a good fit? Should I cancel this call or not? Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I mean by systems, and the process of doing each.
Yeah, and I love it because I'm all about making it simple. I was on a podcast interview yesterday, getting interviewed and talking about like a new program it's like a mastermind I'm launching shortly. I'm like behind the scenes right now, but it's going to be to the public like in the next couple weeks.
Mhm.
Is It's like called Scale to 10 to 20K, and it's all about your offer suite, optimizing your offer suite, but then adding some simple automation to help with the lead generation. So in this sense, like doing a video sales letter, for example, where you're, educating about this topic, doing some problem awareness, you're
Mhm.
doing like sending them into the DMs, like you watch this video, click this link, go to my DMs, and let's have a conversation. Because I'm all about like cutting out these extra steps, because
Please.
especially for what? Yeah.
I said, please, yes, cut them
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, because like you're most of the time, if you're doing your content right, then you're speaking to the ones that are ready, would be ideal clients, right? And weeding out the ones that are, tire kickers, or the ones that aren't wanting to show up or not wanting to pay and whatever. Like I'm fully transparent about the prices of everything too, because I'm like, I don't need to come in here and then convince you, like have you come in asking me a billion questions before it's
Right.
like having a conversation with my husband about, what his day was like pulling information out of him. I'm not going to do that. That's like not a good use of my time either. And
Mhm.
so when you have that simple conversation in the DMs, vetting them through there. Like it's just magic because you can literally have somebody read a piece of your content, go to this training, watch the training, and an hour later be like, "Hey, I think I want to
Yeah,
be in your world." You
because
know?
they know who you are. They know how you sound, how you teach, how you explain things, right? Because there's some people that I know, like I get the compliment, oh my gosh, Ashley, the way that you explain things is so amazing. And I think about it, and when people say it to me, it baffles me because I'm like, well,
Yeah.
how else would you explain it? But then I was in a situation where I was like, oh, now I understand because the way that this person is explaining it is awful
Yeah.
and it doesn't help you understand. So that's why the high visibility lead magnets are so important. But one thing I was going to say when we're talking about vetting people and, having the conversations, honestly, this is, I'm not going to say it has nothing to do with marketing, but honestly, it has more to do with understanding people. And
Yeah.
when you're a business owner, you don't realize how much of psychology that you actually need to incorporate into your business. And what I mean by that is
Yeah.
when I say knowing yourself is probably the best asset you can have when it comes to running your business, because I am like in disc, I know my disc and my Myers-Briggs, which isn't really that helpful, but also my Colby assessment. And
Ooh.
the my Colby assessment and my disc. So for my disc, I'm a high D, a driver, and
Uh-huh.
I'm a high I,
Yeah.
and which means for my driver, people need to be brief, be bright, and be gone. Please do not over explain information. Only give me the information that I need to be able to make the decision.
Yeah.
Because by the time I'm asking you as a driver, though, by the time I'm asking you, I already know I want to work with you. So
Yeah.
please stop with the extra. Just give me the things that I need. But also, I have friends who are S's who are supportive and they care about the person and they want to know the stories. I don't need to know your backstory. I just need to know that you know what the heck you're talking about, and that not only can you help me get the results that you say you can get, but you can also help me get to the lifestyle that I want to get to in the way that I want to get there,
Yeah.
right? So those are the pieces of information that are important to know. I know this about myself, so I know if I'm sitting in front of somebody who's over explaining something, it's going to get on my nerves when we're working together, so they probably aren't the person for me. But then
Right.
also, you know if you know yourself, it's wonderful. But then you also need to know what kind of clients that you're looking for. My clients are also drivers, but they're drivers, or the people that I love working with are drivers, and they are the influencers because I love the personality part, like they're fun,
Yeah.
but they also just they don't want to do it and they want to know what they need to know so that they can move on because they're busy because they are 500,000 plus clients. They have things to do. They don't want to sit around trying to figure things out. So because I know that about them, I'm going to put that in my VSL, right? I'm going to put that in my content, that please believe whenever you work with Make Your Mark, you will not have to lift a finger, right? I know that because I know that that's what they like. So it's
Mhm.
important that you understand who your audience is, not just with the basic information about, oh, where do they shop? I don't know where
I
my
don't care
clients
about
shop.
that.
I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you that. I know that they travel. I know that they fly first class most of the time. I know what airlines they fly on. I know where they're traveling to, and I know that they like wine, except and like what wines they like, etc. Um, but I know that because I've asked those questions and because we vibe a lot with that because I've been to a lot of countries and I love to travel.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important that you know what kind of client you want and speak
Mhm.
to them, because the conscientious people ask a lot of questions that, in my opinion, don't matter, but they matter to them. And so if I don't want to answer those questions, I need to market to people who don't ask those questions. You know what I mean?
Like, for
And
example, what would you say? Like,
so if someone's asking about like a click through rate before we're even working together, right? Or if they're asking about, well, how long, well, not how long, because some people do ask how long, but typically if they ask how long things take, they are on the early stages of using ads. I will say that.
okay.
But um if they're, because a lot of times my clients know that marketing takes some time. but
Mm-hmm.
also ads don't have to take that long. So there's a specific education also that they know. But if they're asking about click-through rates, or they're asking about um, things that would not affect the result, that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I mean. Like they're asking very, very in like what do you call them? Like very specific questions. And they're just trying to make themselves feel better to gather all of the data that they need because they're conscientious. And the
Oh
supportive,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so the supportive people, they're
Like
gonna
analytical, the analytical
yes,
people.
they're
That's
very
what it's
analytical.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And so with the supportive people, they're going to ask questions about, how are we working together, communication, how it makes them feel, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, we're making data-driven decisions. So I'm not going to put a video up just because we feel like it and it feels like something we should
Yeah.
do. I'm going to put a video up because the data is telling us that this is what the people want to see. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just very interesting. And so knowing who you are and knowing who you want to work with is what's going to help you scale more. And that's where we were talking about the refining earlier.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, in my 20 years in pharma sales, when we did disc profiles, I remember sitting there and I remember being like, oh my God, that doctor, like, I forget what his name was. I was like, that's why he's a shady motherfucker. I'm like, he's an
Mhm.
ass. He wants
Yeah.
everybody to be happy with him. He's a
Yeah.
people pleaser. He doesn't
Right.
want to tell me the truth. That's why he tells me one thing and he does another because he's afraid of hurting my feelings. I'm like, I
Mhm.
get it now, you
Yeah.
know? So if you're listening and you've never gotten your disc profile done, let me just tell you, I mean, it's so helpful, especially in sales, to know what kind of people, because like you're selling to, because you can recognize it immediately. And I'm a little bit backwards from you, Ashley. I'm high I, or I tested
Mhm.
high I back then. And then I'm the high D. So they're like
Mhm.
pretty much neck and neck. But
Yeah,
like
mine too.
but I can tell when my business is like slipping, I'm like going more into the I and not into the D. So I have to like kick my
Mhm.
D into like high gears. Like, you know what
It's
I
so
mean? To get
interesting.
more.
When mine's slipping, it's
Yeah.
because I'm going too much into the D.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah.
and not the I. It's so funny because
Yeah.
also, and that takes me into my human design. And
Hmm.
that might be woo-woo for some people, but
No, not here. My previous podcast was called Topless Manifester. So
okay. Love that.
yeah,
Uh,
I should have
but
kept it going.
yeah, I
Topless Sales Manifest. Yeah, let's do that.
no, that's really cute. But I think it's important for me because I also know that I don't have like I know that I need to respond to things, and that sometimes because I amplify people's energy, meaning
Hmm.
they're really excited, not like I obviously don't have my own mind, but if they're excited, I'm going to amplify that. And so if they ask me something and they're excited about it, I'm going to be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And then later on I'm like, why did I say yes to that? And then I also know
Oh,
that
are you a Manny Jen?
I am.
Yeah, me too. I
Yeah.
I get myself in so much damn trouble saying yes to shit that I want to say no to,
Awful.
or like suggesting things where you're like, "Oh, how about this? What did that be?"
Yes.
And then I'm like, "Fuck, why did I
Or
do
I'll get it to you tomorrow. Why do I do
that?"
that? Knowing my energy. And so the person explaining it to me was like, you have energy, but you don't have energy for BS and
Yeah.
things that don't like light you up or get you going. And then also a lot of my opportunities come from people I know and my relationships. So
Hmm.
because I know that, I know what I need to do in my business. And I also know because of my Colby assessment that I'm a quick start. And then on the back end, I can come in and make everything beautiful. But my follow-through game sucks. And which means I need a team. And so that took a lot of pressure off me thinking that something was wrong with me when it wasn't. It's just like, Ashley, you need a team to be able to implement all of these things for you. So I know that this is less about sales and marketing, but
No, it's so good
it,
though.
it really is just knowing who you are and knowing what kind of clients you work best with so that you can refine that messaging. Because again, I don't do how-to content. You will not see how-to content on any of my social medias. I don't do how-to content when I'm on podcasts, when I'm talking on stages, unless specifically hired to go in someone's group and teach them something, right?
Yeah.
But that's also why I have my course, because it gets a little tedious. But I think it's just really important to make sure that you know who you are and know who you want to work with so that that message can make sense.
Mhm. Yeah, like for instance, if you're high D on the spectrum, do you feel like a lot of times we would naturally just attract people who are like us, you know?
No, I think we
No?
attract the opposite because
Okay.
there's a void missing, right, in a lot of us, right? And who we attract, I think we fit like a puzzle. So where we lack, they fill, and where they lack, we fill.
Mhm.
And so I was noticing that I was attracting a lot of people who weren't quick to make decisions. They were supportive and they were conscientious, and that was getting on my nerves because
Yeah,
I was like, where are my D's and where are my I's? Because my D's and my I's make decisions quickly.
yeah,
And I love that. And so whenever they're on the phone, they already know they want to hire an ads person or a marketing person. They just want to know if it's the right fit. And the whole point of the call is just to see if it's a fit call for both of us.
yeah,
It's not a, well, can you perform? By the time they get on the call, they already know I can. It's
yeah.
not about that. It's really about, do we mesh well? And
Mhm.
are our goals and values aligned? And so when I
Makes
started
so much
changing,
sense.
yeah, when I started changing my content and my messaging, um, and because like even I remember I had this one quiz and I said, initially it said what funnel something is right for you. And I was getting a lot of conscientious people and supportive people. And it's because I was using the word funnel, which is more tactical,
Okay.
right? So then when you change the wording to things that like strategy, like a driver like would appreciate, you know what I mean, then you'll
Mhm.
attract those certain people. So it really is all in like the way that you word things, the way that your messaging is. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
So it's almost like, what's the best lead generation strategy for you instead of
Yeah. What's
funnel?
the best funnel, like what's the best lead magnet and funnel combination? That's what I said. And
Yeah,
even combination is not, it's not a driver word or
because it
an,
sounds complex.
it does
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So then what's the easiest way for like to speak to the drivers when you're talking to them about this kind of, thing?
Yeah, so let me first say that I think drivers are only 3% of the population.
Yeah,
I
but there's also only 1% of the population who make it 7 figures.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That you're right about that. So yeah, so with drivers, it's either 3 or 7% of the population. No, it's 3% of the population. So we can't all talk to them. And plus, not everybody maybe might want to work with drivers because
Yeah,
drivers can be, in my own words, a little bit abrasive. Because I know I can be abrasive because I'm like, okay, be brief, be bright, be gone.
yeah.
Like, why do we like this conversation could be 5 minutes? Let's move on.
Yeah.
But and I'm also an Enneagram 8, and that's also why with a wing Gemini softens me up a little bit. But the best way to talk to drivers, I would say, is to understand, like, for your clients, understand their goal and speak to their goal and let them know how you get them to the promised land, right?
Mhm.
Because there are a lot of other people I can name who get you to passive leads and passive sales. I can do the same thing. Melanie Albert can do the same thing. She does it with giving you, coaching you into different, like passive courses, right? You creating your passive courses and doing that, right? I am not going to help you with passive courses. I'm not going to
Mhm.
help you create them and bundle them and pick the right pricing. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to help you with whatever marketing and mostly ads to get you there because my clients are impatient. Like I
Yeah,
said, they have been working for a very long time or long enough. And 3 years is a long time and
yeah,
longer than that, right? And
yeah.
most of them 10 years or more. They've been working for a long time and they're over the incremental growth. They want exponential growth. They want thousands of leads a month, more than that. And in order to get there, we need to figure out what we need to do. So the how I get you there is through ads and make
Mhm.
sure that our messaging is on point. You have what you need in place with your funnel, etc. Melanie and I can do the same thing and help you hit the same types of goals, but we do it completely differently.
Yes.
So the important part is understanding how you get the person to the promised land or the, figurative
Yeah.
promises. And so
Yeah.
I would say you absolutely have to be clear on how you do it.
Mhm.
And drivers, that they love that because we can pick you out of the crowd. Like, okay, she helps us do it this way. This is the lifestyle I want. I want to be able to travel when I want, how I want. I want to be able to take my family or not, whatever that might be. I
Mhm.
want my life to look a specific way. I want to start investing. I want to start, I want to exit my business. So that's another thing. I let them know, if you are looking to exit your business, we can create a plan for that. If you are looking to, grow your business, et cetera, add additional multiples, want to start investing, have more profit, whatever your goal is, that's what we're going to work on.
Mhm.
So I let my clients know that. And that's the important part. So there's that part. Um, you also need to understand that you need to talk about your framework and your process. Okay. Because one part of my framework is a triple A method, right? It's amplify, attract, and automate.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I talk about those things. And why are those things important? Because I use automation with ads, right? We need to amplify your messaging and we need to attract the right person. So
Yeah.
I can go deep into those things. There are other parts of my framework as well, but we want to know what your framework is and that you have one, especially if you are linear. If you're not linear, it's a little bit more difficult
Mhm.
to, help people kind of figure out what you do and how you get them to the end result. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it's talking about your framework and that's going to help the D's and the I's. But
Yeah.
then you need to bring up your story and how you feel for the S's and talk about you need to bring in a ton of testimonials. I
Mhm.
think with D's and testimonials, yes, we see them, but testimonials can be edited. So I'd
Yeah.
rather know that when I'm listening to the person, that
Mhm.
they know what the heck they're talking about,
Yeah.
right? Because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to my business and my marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So are we going to fit together when we're
Right.
together? Do our values align? And then the conscientious people, they need numbers.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how how do you talk to these different types of people? Because some people need numbers. Some people want to see the numbers, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah. I agree with you though, where it's a little cloudy sometime as to where the numbers are coming from. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah,
Where you're like, wait, did you make $1 million total in like 15 years? Or did
yes,
you make 1 million this year? You
exactly.
know?
Yeah. But that's also
So
integrity. Like you should
yeah,
not have to question that.
yeah,
That
yeah,
and so that's what I mean by do your values align? Because
yeah.
with ads, I said, before I found out that my client actually made 450,000, I thought she made 300,000 within the month that we were the month of her launch. And
Mhm,
got her a few thousand leads the month prior. But I said my client made 300,000 with ads with $5,000 in ad spend. I
mhm.
could have left it there because those are great numbers. The ROI, no matter how you slice it, is
Yeah.
chef's kiss, right?
Dude, it's like about how
However,
much you pay to PayPal or Stripe to just for transaction fees.
well, yes, but so then I went deeper and I said, these are great numbers. However, this is exactly what my client's funnel looked like. This was her funnel. Number two, this is what she had in place to be able to hit those numbers. And so
Mhm.
I explained those things because, yeah, I can tell you that I helped my client make $450,000 with $7,000 total in ad spend, which again, I helped her get there. It was an assist. I was not the only piece that made
Yeah,
her that money. She had a personal brand already. She
yeah.
had her clients already loved her. So her testimonials, she had video testimonials. She also had video content speaking to exactly what her clients wanted. Um, Her funnel, she had been doing it organically prior. So it was working multiple years. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
told everyone these are the things she had in place because you're not about to come over to me and say, well, you said, and it's like, yeah, I did say that. And then I didn't tell you what she had in place just because I
yeah,
wanted the money. No, I'm
yeah,
going to tell you what she had in place because I need my other clients to understand that they need to come with a certain level in their business so that I can help them. I'm not the one to help you scale from $0 to 1 million. That's not me. There are other people who might be able to do that. That's not me. I work with clients who already have something that worked organically and it is still working and it is proven, and I can help you scale to your first or next few million. And I know
Yeah.
that me, my business, and my company. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. Very confident there for sure. Of course. So, like, where do you think the appropriate time is for people to start thinking, okay, maybe I should add some ads to get leads? And what kind of, like, first though, I forgot to ask, what kind of programs are these thousands of leads going into? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, what kind of offers were they buying, or were the ads set
Okay.
up? And like, what sort of leads were they generating? Like, for what purpose?
Okay, so some of the clients had group programs.
Hmm.
Some of them were 15,000. So if you divide 15,000 by 450, it's not a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
That's the other,
Okay.
it's not a ton of people that you need. But we still got her thousands of leads. And
Yeah.
so she was able to, if anybody wasn't ready in January, they'll be ready in June. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So, or in November, it depends because like, and this is one thing, and I'm gonna go back to the question. Sometimes it's not about people being ready or not wanting it bad enough. Sometimes it is timing.
Hmm.
Sometimes it is about that they just don't have, like, when people are like, oh, well, you'll find like if you want it bad enough, you'll find the money. It's not always the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that.
There's a lot of inner work that has to go into it, because you could take one person who's in that victim mentality of,
Right,
oh, the world's against me, but I'm going to try this as a last ditch effort. And then every single thing you suggest to them, it's like there's a problem with all of it. And
right.
so of course they're not going to get great results. But then the other, or maybe they don't take the action or get you the stuff you need on time, and it's just not a great match. But then you might have somebody else who's like in a worse position than them, but they have a better attitude about it and they get amazing results, you know?
Absolutely. And one of the things I'll say also is that I will always and forever talk about the characteristics of my clients. In
Mhm.
every single in every moment I have the ability to do that, and I'm speaking outwardly, whether it's in my own content, someone else's content, they invite me somewhere, I say my clients are action takers.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
clients understand XYZ. I say this about my clients because it's so important that I repel the people who are like that, like you said, the
Yeah.
first person, like they have a victim mentality. The one time I got one of those, I was like, never again.
Yeah.
Never again will I have another client like this. So
Yes.
I made sure to talk about the characteristics of my clients. I talk about that they're bougie, they love to travel, and they're not afraid to spend money in their business.
Right.
But obviously nobody wants to spend money for no reason, etc. But like
Right.
they know what's important. But to your question about, okay, you were asking what programs they were going to into.
Mhm.
So yeah, one-on-one, some of them were service, some of them were courses, like the
Mhm.
gamut,
Yeah.
honestly.
Mhm.
It really is the gamut. And it's when you find the right marketing mix that you need in order to move forward. But one of the things is, for one, the client, she that made 450, she had a PDF, and we were getting like dollar leads, a little, and so that was great, um, a great use of her money. And then she moved them into a challenge. I think, I don't know if it was 1 day or 3 day, but it
Mhm.
was a challenge. So they understood how she coached. And then she invited them to an application. She got 120 applications, and
Mm.
she truly only chose 15 or 20 of them, or however many it was, right? So
Yes.
I think that's what people need to understand, is that it wasn't just one lead magnet,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't just a one-time thing where it's like, okay, sign up for this webinar, and then yeah, they're gonna buy $15,000 worth of something from you, right?
Yeah.
And you also have to know, I know my clients are not sitting through a webinar.
Yeah.
I know that about my clients. So if I'm going to do something, my VSL needs to be 7 minutes or less. It
Mhm.
can't even be 15 minutes or 30 minutes.
Mhm.
They're not going to sit through it.
Yeah.
So because I know that about my clients, I know how to create content for them.
Yeah.
And those are the important pieces. So just really understanding who your client is, and knowing what lead magnets go with the information that you, or go with the offer that you're selling.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so true. Because I was just having this conversation with a mentor of mine about, like, promoting for the new, offer I'm coming out with, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't think I want this thing to be any longer than, like, 15 minutes at
Mhm.
most," you know? Like, that is it, period, because I know I wouldn't wanna sit through anything more than that,
Mm-mm.
you know?
Yeah.
Unless it had a lot of value in it, you know?
Right. And
But
then if you're looking to hire someone to whatever the coaching program is or the done for you, how much value really needs to be in it? You know, and I'm not talking about skimping because I'm not talking about being stingy with the information, but I'm just talking about like how much value really needs to be put in it, right?
Mhm.
The people need to be able to trust you. And that's the value that I would say put in there and
Yeah,
let them know that they can trust you. But just like going in and putting in, you know, extra value for the sake of it is
yeah,
just unnecessary.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, because then you're gonna attract, like, more on the newbie scale,
Mhm.
that are, like,
Yeah,
freebie shopping to try to piece it all
exactly.
together like a patchwork quilt, and I'm not there anymore.
Yeah. My clients aren't looking for tips.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah. So that's awesome. So the other question was, where do you suggest, like, at what income level in your business is a great place to start looking at ads, or does it matter?
I'm going to say if you okay, first, any level of business can run ads
Yeah.
if you have the cash to do it. Um, but what I'm going to say is run ads for leads,
Yeah.
don't run ads for sales. And then I would say when you want to hire someone, I would say if you're making about 25,000 a month, 250,000 a year at least is a good time to hire someone. But I would not recommend you hiring someone earlier than that because most ads people who are worth their weight are going to cost you minimum $2,500 a month, and
Mhm.
that does not include ad spend,
Yeah.
which means that you'll be paying 3 to 4 or $5,000 a month. That is a significant amount of your revenue, and it doesn't make sense for you to do that,
Yeah.
before $250,000. But so what I would say is start running my thought would be to start running, like, video views ads, and then you can retarget those people who watch the video with your lead magnet, or you can just run ads directly to your lead magnet.
Mhm.
You can expect 1 to $5 or $7 leads depending on what your lead magnet actually is.
Mhm.
Um, Quizzes typically garner $3 to $7. It really depends on the quiz and the niche.
Yeah.
Um, PDFs, usually under 2 is what we would shoot for.
Yeah.
2 kind of high, but it's still underneath that. Webinars are pretty much the same, but it also depends on the size of your niche. You know, if
Yeah.
you're and I want people to understand that if you have a $7 lead and your offer is $5,000, you should be okay with a $7 lead. You know what I mean? If
Mhm.
your offer is $25,000 and you have a $40 lead or, $70 cost per acquisition, meaning it costs you $70 to is that what I said? Yeah, or $40. I don't sorry. It costs you, let's say $70 cost per acquisition. And which means that it costs you $70 to acquire them
Yeah.
client. So for them to pay you, that's still a great ROI, right? So I don't want anyone to think that, oh my gosh, these leads are so high, et cetera, et cetera. But what you need to do while your ads are running is you really need to get on as many sales calls as you can to refine who it is that you want.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, to refine your process, to look at the data and see are people because you should absolutely have a 30% um conversion rate with your lead magnet. And
Yeah.
I'm somebody who shoots for 50 to 80%.
Yeah.
So if you're getting that, you're doing well. But then if people aren't converting on the back end, then we need to figure out what's going on between the lead magnet and the sale.
Yeah, that part where it's like they've made it through the whole funnel, but they're dropping off before they buy.
Right, right. And it
So,
could be
yeah.
messaging on the front end because sometimes your ads will work well and the messaging is attracting a certain type of person. And so now you need to switch it up a little to attract someone different.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting thought because I was gonna ask you, like, where do you think most of the people drop off there? Like, or what, like, what's the biggest is it something in the close of the sale or something in the email sequence that might happen or whatever. But yeah, you're right. I guess it could be you attracted the wrong people in
It
from the
could it
start.
could literally be at any point. Right now, I have a client and we're getting some people, her numbers are low and it was getting on my nerves. And I'm like, okay,
I
our
love it.
our click-through rate is low. And so that means I need to switch up her creative, right? So maybe instead of this image, which is beautiful, maybe we should use a video instead. So we're gonna
Yeah.
try video next. Um, I've seen it where we are getting the right people in, but the person didn't have enough of them and their mind, like their thought leadership on the back end to help people understand why it was so important for them to at least book a free consultation, right? Because it was
Mm.
about health, right?
Mhm.
And there's a lot, especially in that he was targeting men. And I'm like, there's a lot of things going on here, especially with men and their health. So we have to have a different conversation with them and we have to be honest with them and, maybe a little funny, et cetera, whatever, to make them realize why this is so important. Um, but there's a lot of different things that it could be. So that's why when I said earlier, I look at the data and the data is going to
Mm.
tell me what to do next. So if we're getting people in and when you get them on the sales call and you realize like out of 10 of them, 8 or 9 are not the right fit, it could be the messaging that we have on the front end,
Mhm.
right? And so, but it also, if you feel like 5 to 7 of them are a great fit, but for some reason they're not closing, we need to look at what you're doing on the sales call.
Oh, right. Yeah. So, and then how would people know whether these strangers that come in off of an ad are a great fit? Like,
Well, you would know, for me, I know in the application, typically,
Mhm. Yeah.
because of the questions that I have set up for my application. But you will know when you get them on the phone.
Yeah.
You'll know by their vibe. So like if you're a vibe person, you can tell if you want to work with this person or not. And that's also what fit looks like.
Mhm.
So then you need to identify what is it that I didn't like about this person? Is did I feel challenged? Were they asking me too many questions that I feel like were already addressed before they got on the call? And some of these could be like a you problem, right? Like
Mhm.
something that you need to let your ego go on some of these things. But if you don't want to if you don't want to
Yeah.
answer a lot of questions, then maybe you need to put more information on the front end before they even sign up. Maybe you need to send out a 5 email sequence that discusses common FAQs or things like that. I have one that talks about ROI. We do not guarantee ROI because I can truly not guarantee what someone else with free will is going to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So but we all typically get great numbers, but it's because we're always testing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And but yeah, you'll know if did everyone that you spoke with, did they say yes on the call and then they ghosted you? Did they say
Mhm.
yes on the call and they said, take my money now? Go ahead and take my card over the phone? Or did they say yes and you sent them the invoice and they paid? Because you also have to think about those people. Did they pay? And what was it about this person that made them a good fit? And so
Mhm.
you think about those things and you continue to put that in your messaging as well. But then you start working with them and you find out they kind of suck. They are rude. They
Oh.
support candidates or political things that you don't.
Mhm.
So might be some things that you need to actually say in your social media content,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like it's important if you support Black Lives Matter or LGBTQIA or if you
Yeah.
are have clients who are MAGA. Like it's I understand that this stuff is political to some people and it's human rights to others, so you need to be clear.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, you really need to be clear about what matters to you.
Yeah. Right.
And if 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 it's going to be yeah, if it's going to be a deal breaker. I have a Brittany McBean. She has on her, she was like, she said something like, I support Black Lives Matter and something else. And she was like, and if you don't, I forgot what it was, but it was just really funny. She uses the F word all over her copy. You
Yeah.
know, if you don't
Yeah.
like people who cuss, she is not the one for you,
Yeah.
right? And so I think it's so important for us to bring our authentic selves, especially when we are scaling,
Mhm.
to the forefront. Because I had a friend who loved Julie Stoyan. She knew her life story back and forth and could tell me all of these things about her. And I was like, this is so weird. Why do you know so much about her? But it like she connected with it, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't share my story like that. I don't like people in my business like that, but
Yeah.
I will share some things. But it's you have to decide what authentic pieces of you that you want to share that
Yeah.
align with your business. You don't have to share everything, obviously, but um lots of things with
Well, I
marketing are
mean, it
too
just
much.
makes sense because especially if it's a personal brand,
Hmm.
like you can have a small group of random people that don't know about you, but if you are looking at exponential growth, like
Right.
you want an exponential growth that's more like a cult that likes you
Yes.
instead of an angry mob.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
like like the more you get, let's face it, it's just like any relationship, like when you first get a new partner and you're like on your best behavior and you're like, they
Yeah.
don't know that I poop, you know? And then like next thing you know, you're going to the bathroom, like, what are you getting at the grocery store for me today? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
fast forward 2 years, your business is gonna be the same way. Where like you're gonna eventually let it all hang out because $0 highway gets closer and closer and closer the longer you're in business because you're like, this is me. This is what I do all day. So you may as well be authentic from the front end. And I have this new motto that I started about a month ago, which was the more I'm judged, the more money I make,
Mm,
because
yeah.
like there's this fear of judgment from the outside, and then it makes you put yourself in a box and it makes you, like sh- make yourself small and not like take up space and be yourself and be authentic. And so I mean, the more money you make, the more, I mean, the authentic you are, the more you're going to attract the people who like see that about you. You're going to be magnetic, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the word magnetic is a little overused these days, but like you become like a magnet to people. You're just like the one at the bar that everybody's like, "Damn, I want to go talk to them." You know what I mean? Like life of
Exactly.
the party. And it's just natural and normal, and then you start to, attract the right people to you instead of people pleasing your way into having this big community full of people that you just kind of tolerate, who tolerate you and who are going to jump ship as soon as, you're going to get canceled as soon as somebody realizes what you're really about.
Yeah, because I know for me, I was so scared to say that I was bougie or to
Yeah.
say that I'm attracting bougie people, and the reason was because there was so much rhetoric around, oh, I'm not in it for the money, and did it, and then one day I was like, so why are you in business?
Right.
Like, then what are you doing if you're not
Exactly.
in business to make money? It
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And it just drove me nuts until one day I was like, it's okay to be in business for money, and you should be in business for money. Warren Buffett doesn't apologize for buying all the businesses and acquiring the ones that he has. Why would you apologize for wanting what you want
Yeah.
and saying that, like, my goal is to get to the yacht. I don't want to buy one now. I realize I don't want to buy one anymore. I just
We
want
just
to
went to a boat show this past weekend
Oh,
here
did
in
you?
St. Petersburg. Yeah.
I do want a boat though. Like, those Italian ones that are like made of wood or whatever.
The Riva
They're
boats.
so pretty. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
They're
they're
made
just
in
so
Lake Como in
and I
Italy. Yeah.
want to go there too. But I'm just like, I want to get to the yacht. I want to be able to charter one. I watch Below Deck all the time so I can prepare myself. You know what I mean?
Heck
And
yeah.
it's like, it's okay to say that because my clients, they buy expensive things. They don't care. They are going to, some of them will pay for Singapore Airlines first class, some of them won't. But it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's so important for us to be super authentic about and talk about the things that are important to us,
Mhm.
because that is how we're going to repel the people and bring, because like once I started talking about I'm here for the bougie bunch is what I call them. Yeah, the money got bigger.
Yeah.
The money got
Exactly.
much larger, and I appreciated that. And I was like, and then I remember one time I was trying to not be the face of my business. I just wanted my work to speak for myself. And I was like, once I figured out that people were hiring me for me, and I'm like, what do you mean? I got all these degrees, I have all this experience, but you
Yeah.
guys don't care about that. You like me? At first, I was offended, but then I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
I can be who I want, who I am, and attract the people who are some of the best clients I've ever had.
Totally. 100%. I have to tell you, I married a yachty. My husband was working on this super yacht that was the size of a football field when I met him.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
you'll have to look it up. If you're into bougie yachts and putting that on your vision board,
Yeah.
then look up the motor yacht Luna,
Okay.
Luna, like the boat. I mean,
I,
like the moon, but it's called Luna, and it had one owner. I think it's just a one owner boat. They don't do like private charters or anything. But
mhm.
it had to park at the cruise ship terminal because it was so big.
I see it right now. I just Googled it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
massive.
look at it. So
Oh,
that's the size of a football field. It's a
that's
360 feet long, so
and
it's like
like
a
5 or
hundred.
6 stories. What is this?
Yeah, it was like 8 stories.
Oh
It
my
had
God.
30 crew that lived on it permanently.
Yeah.
It had 2 helicopter pads, 3 full-time chefs that were on board at one
So good.
time. Yeah. And then if you watch Below Deck Sailing Yacht, have you seen that one?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so Gary King is actually one of my husband's like friends from back in his
Oh my
hometown in South
gosh.
Africa. Yeah.
Oh my
I
gosh.
know, I
How
know.
fun.
He's always been a ladies' man. Like when he got on that show, I looked at Ian, I was like, he's gonna get himself in trouble on this
Oh
show.
my
And sure enough,
God.
he did.
Yes. Yes. Freaking Gary. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, there's also a guy named Ross that was on the first Below Deck with
Okay.
I think they went down to Australia on that one too. It wasn't the Australia Below Deck. I think it was the season where they were over in Australia. Anyway, yeah. So we
That's
have a big history here with Below Deck for sure.
that is so cool. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I'm obsessed. I love
So
that.
yeah, I like nice shit too. And I was actually okay, like I was talking to on the podcast yesterday that I was on. I was like, why? I remember sitting there. I mean, this keeps coming up, Ashley, I think for a reason. I think I need to add this to my content too, and to like
Mhm.
more podcast episodes about it because I remember sitting on a day field ride. Like my managers would come and get in the car with us and we'd drive around to all the accounts and they'd give us feedback and all of that jazz. And so I had got this new manager who had come in from the training department and gotten promoted. And he was sitting down and he's like, so, and I think I was like 24 years old at the time. And because I started when I was 21 into this like job that was like way outpunted my coverage. It was like something where like most of my coworkers were in their 30s and here I had
Yeah.
braces and I was like, maybe if I cut my hair short, I'll look older. It didn't work. But I remember this guy, Rob, asking me, like, what motivates you? And I was like, I mean, nobody's ever asked me that before. Like, I don't know. And of course, I'm like, well, what's the right answer? And he could like see
Yeah.
me thinking that. And he was like, there's no right answer. Like I'm asking this of everybody. Like what motive like for some people it's accolades, others it's
Right.
promotion, some it's like, additional responsibility, it could be money, it could be, hitting your goals. And I was like, I literally had no idea how to answer, but I was like, well, I mean, I really like the income potential here, and I like job like day-to-day satisfaction and stuff like that. But like it's okay to be motivated by money. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like it's totally, and I think like, yeah, this industry tends to shit on you, or if
Man.
like shit on the idea if you're like, oh, like I'm like, I have to say I'm not in it for the money, but like maybe, just maybe you need to be, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and you
Because
need to
like
make the connection between the money you make and the impact you make, and like keeping yourself small and keeping your channels locked off from helping the people you're meant to help who could help thousands of other people.
exactly. Like I love the ones there's one guy who he's Hispanic and he goes and he like buys all the stuff that they're selling on the street and he gives it to everybody for free, and then
Yeah.
he might take them to Disneyland. And then
Oh,
there's Keith Lee who goes in and he like reviews the businesses foods, and like when he leaves the lines are wrapped around the block, right?
yeah.
And I'm like, what an amazing impact that you actually have to do that, because people they see that and they love that and they believe in that. And I just think it's so important for us to, and like you need money to do those things. You can't just like go
Yeah.
to Disney for free, and you
Yeah.
can't just, like buy up all of the stuff that they're selling for free and give it away. And it costs money to go on food tours, etc. And so it's just so interesting. And I was like, I really want to have that impact. Like one day I want to be sitting next to somebody who's freaking, I'm overhearing their conversation. They're talking about, I need $3,000 or $5,000 in order to whatever the heck, and they're free. And I just want to be able to give it to them in
Yeah.
cash. Like
Yeah.
here, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like money is one of those things that in America, at least, we have been conditioned to think that we have to bootstrap everything, pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, and that there's some type of reward for struggling the hardest,
Yeah.
for having a rags to riches story. I grew up in a multi six-figure household, and I thought because of Russell Brunson and the what is it called? The
Like
whatever the
ClickFunnels.
story, well, the story thing, like that they tell you how to,
Origin story, like
yeah,
the
the origin
hero's
story. Yeah,
journey.
the hero's journey. I thought no one would listen to me
Yeah.
because I did not have a rags to riches story. I was not homeless. I did not get beat. You know, I grew up in a great household with a mother who was absolutely amazing. And, you know, like I didn't have that story. And I was so sad because I was like, dang, my credentials mattered in corporate, but now they don't matter. Come to find out that was not the case, obviously. But it's just like it just feels like money is one of those things that you're not supposed to want even if you have it,
Yeah.
right? And you can't do anything, like all you can do is stress when you don't have money. All
Yeah.
you do is like cry or get in arguments or, you know, freak out or have anxiety or have depression because, and I believe that money solves a lot of these problems.
Yeah.
And obviously, it doesn't solve them all, and it might not solve them fully. But if your argument with your spouse or with your kids is money, and then all of a sudden you get to $50,000 months and that problem is solved, what else are we arguing about? What's for
Yeah.
dinner? Love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's like, well, which T-bone steak do I get? Like that, you're not spending like 6 hours finding the right e-bike. You're like, I like that one and let's go.
Right.
Like
And
let's
not
just
having
move
to
on.
exactly like or going from Whole Foods to Aldi, which Aldi is great regardless of how much money you make, but it's the what you're forced to do versus what
The
is either
line,
you
the
or what.
line to get out of that place. I don't know what it's like where you are, but between the line and then finding the quarter that my kids
Oh
probably
man.
hid from me, or it's like you
Yeah.
got to take somebody else's dirty quarter. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what they did, what boogers they put on that quarter before they put it in their shopping cart, but I'm like, I'd like mine. Thank you very much.
It's definitely, yeah, like just whatever. Because even I was thinking the other day, which is again first world problems, but I was like, my Uber driver just popped the trunk and didn't get out of the car, and it was a guy, not a girl,
Yeah.
and he didn't put my bag in the car, and I was like, see, this is why I just need to start doing a car service.
Yeah.
Like, why worry about Uber? Because I love to be pampered, I love to be taken care of, and I love feeling like somebody is taking care of me and I don't have to do the thing like put my own bag in the car, which to some people might be like, Ashley, oh my God, shut up. That is like eye roll all day. But if that's something that I like, then that's what's going to
No.
motivate me to get to where it is in my business, where me spending instead of spending $40 on the Uber to the airport, I'm spending $130 for a car service and it's not bothering me. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, to be honest, if somebody doesn't want to help you put your bag in the back of the car, then they probably don't value the scratches they could get on their car very much, which means they
That's
might not
true.
keep it that much clean, even with the seat you're sitting on. That's when I get in and I'm like, oh God, like how many other people have sat here? It's like Frontier Airlines versus like Delta. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like there's ugh, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, but we have to fly Frontier a lot sometimes coming out of Tampa because there's not a lot of direct flights. And with two kids, I don't really like stopovers. So,
Oh yeah, no.
sometimes we bite the bullet and do the Frontier, I would say, what
Right.
do I call it? The rodeo. It's kind of like
Yeah.
the Greyhound bus in the sky.
Yeah.
That's what
I haven't flown French. I flew Spirit once and never again.
never again. I won't
But
do that.
I haven't heard great things about Frontier either.
It's been okay, but like, direct flights. Ugh,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
that's a
yeah.
big old check for me, for
Me too.
sure.
Absolutely.
But oh, well, this has been so much fun and it's so informative. What great, I mean, we saved the best for last too. Like that last part of the conversation is where the gold is. So I'm going to say, listen to the end because there is gold at the end, especially for, gosh, like if you got hangups about talking about money, come to one of us. We will straighten your ass out like real
Yeah.
fast.
Yes. Hang out with me in the DMs.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, Ashley, speaking of, can you tell everybody where to find you in the DMs?
Absolutely. The best place to find me is on Instagram. That is where I am most conversational. So at Ashley Chanel, I'm the Leigh, Ashley, Chanel. And
Mhm.
yeah, just come have fun. I like to have fun over there.
I'm gonna find you. I'm finding you right now. There we are. We got you. All righty. Well, Ashley, thank you so much. I look forward to following you on Zoom or on Zoom. I'm following you on Instagram and everybody go follow Ashley. She's the queen of ads. And I'm so thankful for you coming on the podcast today. I appreciate you so much. And y'all, this is just so good. I'm gonna end it right here and I will see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for having